What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Tuesday. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great week. Having a look at Bitcoin right now, we're actually down 0.16%. But really what's happening is essentially after we sort of had this pump, we've sort of been going sideways. We tried to break out once, tried to break out again, and we kind of touch resistance right here. But essentially we've just been going sideways, and a lot of people are asking the question, does Bitcoin have enough momentum to actually push ourselves up to the next level? Well, I want to talk about that specifically today because there are some indicators on the chart that are looking quite bullish, but I do want to let you know there is a potential possibility of Bitcoin having a slight retracement, and I'm going to show you why in just a second. I do have some other things too I want to talk about today as well, not just talking about price action. I also want to discuss the fact that some of the altcoins look like they're kind of starting to coil up for maybe a big move. So should we be paying attention to some of the altcoins? As you can see right here, they are kind of putting in a potential bear flag overall, but they have broken out of the resistance. So that's going to be something very interesting to talk about today. So that's Bitcoin price, altcoins potentially rallying. Another thing too is more proof that institutions are accumulating a lot of Bitcoin in the background while everybody's freaking out saying it's going to go lower. Well, these guys are buying it up, and they're also buying some altcoins as well. That's what I want to talk about. And I also want to discuss more counterfeit gold. Really, Bitcoin solves this problem, guys. And if that sounds good to you, well, you know what to do. Also, if you're not subscribed to the Crypto Zombie channel, we do this every single day. And as you guys know, any comment on any video makes you eligible for, let me get it over here, the Ledger Nano S giveaway. So let's dive in. Let's have a quick refresh right now and see what is going on. All right. So yeah, Bitcoin 0.09% down, still 66.5%. Now you can see there are some altcoins up today: Theta, Centrality, Chainlink, Newton, Ren, Educare, Zella, Engine, Basic Attention Token, KuCoin shares, and BSV as well. But like we said, we still do have very, very low volume, okay? This is not the kind of volume you want to see when you're looking for confidence in these big moves, right? In fact, over here, it's still relatively neutral on the daily, and I am actually kind of happy to see that the longs and the shorts kind of even themselves out, because I get kind of scared when they get too much in one direction, especially in the longs. People tend to get really excited, but, like I said, you can have a squeeze in the other direction, which would essentially send the price crashing down. Now, does Bitcoin have the potential to actually retrace a little bit and go lower? It actually might, and let me show you why. And I'm not being bearish, I just want to show you something we're going to get to in just a second, but essentially, you can see right here, we did break out of this downwards channel. Now, I do consider short term this sort of $8,080 level, this orange line, to be somewhat of a support. As you can see right here, it is sort of like the middle ground between this crazy move, although getting above this dotted yellow, which is like the center of the expanding, broadening wedge, well, that would obviously be a lot more bullish. But here's the thing. Okay, we are being held down. Now look, you can see right here, look at the VPVR, right? If you can see right here, this yellow line, this yellow that pops out to this red line, excuse me. Look at how we're just sitting at that right now. And also the 21 exponential, which is this green line. So like I said, there is a lot of resistance right now that Bitcoin is trying to break out of. Yeah, you can see right here, we've come to the resistance with this sort of $8,300 level. We also have this green resistance, which is why we've been getting stomped out. But if we do zoom in, the kind of good thing is we are sitting above the basis of the Bollinger Bands. And like I said, I've been saying actually for quite some time, I think we're going to be looking for a very, very, very massive move very soon. Will it be to the upside or the downside? Well, isn't that the question? However, you can see we are still sandwiched between the 100 and 200 daily moving average, but I'm going to show you why Bitcoin may have a potential of actually retracing slightly, okay? We're going to get into that in just a second, but hey, zooming in right here, check this out. It does actually look like, if you zoom in, we are actually having a golden cross with the 55 EMA over the 100 weekly. So this is actually short-term bullish. Now, could it be a fake out? Could they flip the other way? Of course they could. But right now, you can see they have crossed and they are starting to veer the other way. So this is actually a positive thing. However, I don't want to see the 100 start going downwards. I don't want to see that either, okay? I would like to see it go mostly sideways. Also, speaking about this potential death cross, like I said, these things are more lagging type indicators, so I'm not really looking at that right now. I'm more concerned about price right now, short term, because that's the only thing we actually have right now until these actually cross. They're not confirmed. So you can guess and guess and guess and guess, but until they actually start touching and they actually cross, you really can't do anything except just speculate and assume that these two moving averages are going to cross. But the biggest thing that we spoke about 2 days ago on the channel was the CME futures gap, because when we had that jump the other day, we actually put a small little tiny gap in the futures. Now, keep in mind, futures don't trade on weekends, right? So if there's a lot of massive movement that happens, or, whenever they're closed, right, during their downtime, well, they usually tend to fill the gaps. Now, I'm going to be totally honest. I didn't know if we were always going to fill gaps. I had no idea until we started filling all the damn gaps. And then I said to myself, okay, well, whether or not this is just a self-fulfilling prophecy, it's been happening every single time. In fact, just to refresh your memory, if you guys don't remember this gap that we had right here, essentially where we jumped from basically $8,510 to $9,090, well, we did have this red gap. Now, here's the crazy part. We never came down to fill that gap. We went all the way up, to this high of, it was actually 14,220 on CME futures, and we bounced around, we got in the giant triangle, and finally, we had the dump, and we closed the gap. Now, I just want to show you how long that took to actually close this gap, okay? It took 102 days for Bitcoin to close this gap. Well, we just put in another one, guys. As you can see right here, so basically this gap, let me highlight it for you to make it a lot easier. So essentially, this gap right here, is essentially, we would have to go down to $8,180 in order to close this gap. So the question is Bitcoin going to have this slight retracement and close the gap like we've closed all the other gaps? Don't forget, we had a gap here, we closed it. We had a gap here, we closed it. We had a gap here, we closed it. We had a gap here, we closed it, okay? So, well, there is one gap we haven't closed actually, and that's this gap right up here at around, well, if we went to the top, we'd have to go to $11,945. So that's bullish, okay? But I don't want to close this gap before we close this gap. So between me and you guys, I'm going to be honest, I kind of want Bitcoin to go down to this level, to this $8,180 level, just to kind of get it out of the way. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of like get it out of the way, because I don't want this like hanging over people's heads. We go all the way back up to 16K or something like that, right? So also the other thing I wanted to point out was if we actually have a look at this major trend line that we plotted, it actually is possible to go down to this red level. The red level is representing where we'd have to go to fill the gap. And you can see right here, Bitcoin has respected this green trend right here that we basically started essentially when it became resistance, sort of back in December of 2018. And if I zoom into this right now for you, you can actually see that, Bitcoin would not have to fall that far, in order to close this gap. In fact, we'd only have to go down 0.46% to close the gap. I mean, the gap could even be closed by the time this video comes out, right? So I do think we may have some short-term volatility. If we don't close this gap immediately, I do think that it'll be something that, unfortunately, we may retest later. So, and if we do end up having a massive plummet, like I said, I still do think we're going to get supported by this green trend. So even if we were to fall straight down, you're still looking at around 7,878. You guys know on this channel, I do sort of think that the bottom may potentially have already been in for this trend. But if we were to fall lower, then I do believe we could get supported by, potentially down on this green line, or maybe on this one right here, which even so is still above $7,000. So that's basically that situation, guys. Now, if you are looking to make a trade on this, obviously, the safer thing to do is wait until you break some of these key resistance and supports and then get into it. Obviously, if you put the long or short in now, you do kind of risk, it's a bigger risk, right? Because you don't know which way it's going to go. It's a lot easier to hop in once the trend's already happening, right? But if you guys are interested, I will drop my tutorial above if you want to know how to do that. Obviously, be safe out there, and there are links below. But here is the good news. You can see right here from Skew Markets, they basically pointed out that long positions held by institutional accounts at the CME have actually been rising again in October. You can see right here, there was some bearish sentiment, and now they've slowly been putting longs back in, which is showing me that the institutions might be going, hey, I think that's enough. We fell from 14K down to 7.7. That's kind of enough for me, don't you think? That was almost 50%, right? 44%. So having a look right here too, just to show you guys that this is actually happening, you could see that in the beginning of the year, Morgan Creek Digital raised $40 million in investments, some which were from pension funds, which was pretty incredible. You had the Fairfax County Police Officers Retirement System with $1.4 billion under management, and County Employees Pension Plan with $4.25 under management, okay? Given the current regulatory atmosphere, however, you can see that many institutions unfortunately simply cannot invest in Bitcoin, and changing this will take some time, right? We're seeing ETFs get denied, right? It is very difficult. It's a slow process, especially when you're dealing with money. But let me just point out one thing before I'm going to get back to Bitcoin, but I got to make a comment about gold because, Peter Schiff likes to just, talk smack about Bitcoin all day. Well, how about the fact that, number one, there was counterfeit gold flooding the market earlier this year, and now we have a second situation. Now, this counterfeit gold is not actually fool's gold. It is actually currently legit gold, okay? So kind of an interesting story, but it's being branded with stamps of major refinery logos that had nothing to do with the gold. In other words, you can't prove where the gold actually came from because all they have is a stamp, and this gold actually is legit gold. So very interesting story, okay? But the point I'm trying to make is that you do not have this problem on Bitcoin, okay? Like with Bitcoin, you can't send somebody a counterfeit Bitcoin. You could send them Bitcoin SV, you could send them Bitcoin Cash, but you can't send that to a Bitcoin wallet, right? You'd have to fork it. So Bitcoin solves this, okay? I just wanted to point that out before we move forward. And one other thing that cryptocurrencies are helping to solve is this chaos that we're seeing in the world. This is a post from a Redditor, actually. Chaos in Chile. Now, I assume this person is from Chile. They write it as if they're living there. They talk about, they even say this might not be the right sub, but bear with me, please. Chile is living a massacre. Military and police is killing us on the streets. Banks are blocking money circulation. Supermarkets are closed, and we are living a shock doctrine. Now, this person says, I don't care about what crypto is better or what not. I want you please to guide me in the best way that we can use this, just like the cypherpunks did 10 years ago, so I can tell my people how to fight the system and the neo-liberalists. And look, he goes, your advice is hope. Obviously, he says, please don't show me your bags, which is basically the mating call of show me your bags when it's like I'm in desperation, nano, right? Maybe. But the point is, it doesn't matter. The reality is that cryptocurrencies are freeing people. So whether you support nano or you support XRP or you're a hardcore Bitcoin maximalist, okay, whatever it is that you're doing, understand that this technology is changing and we need it to get away from these types of situations. I don't want to play any videos. It's terrible to see what's going on. You guys can Google it, but I just wanted to kind of point that out right here, okay? Now, I know, getting a little philosophical, getting back to the actual raw data, we talked about the fact that Grayscale's Q3 report shows that institutions contributed over $250 million. Here's the kicker: in new investments this period, okay? These are not ones from, Q1, Q2. These are brand new, okay? This is showing demand. And I showed you guys the other day, over the last 12 months, 74% of institutional funds flowed into Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust. You can see 26% in the other 9 funds offered by Grayscale, which are tied to different cryptocurrencies. They have some like Zcash, Ethereum Classic, and Stellar. But in the third quarter, and here's the interesting thing, only 67% of inflows were directed to Bitcoin Trust and 33% into altcoin products. So I'm not going to lie. I actually adjusted this top trend. I had it a little bit lower right here, but I actually realized if we move it up to the wick, it's a little more realistic and does kind of, I guess, make it less hypey, because now we are being supported, 1, 2, 3, 4 points of contact. So, okay, Bitcoin was looking like it was going to start to break out, but I moved the lines just to kind of give the point of doubt. Let's try to break above this level right here. That way we're definitely out of it and we've gone above all the wicks, because the interesting thing is that the altcoins, regardless of Bitcoin dominance, even going up just a small percentage in the past few days, the altcoins are still moving upwards, even though the dominance of Bitcoin has increased, because what's actually happening is the market cap is increasing. Now, you might argue that this looks a little bit like a bear flag. It does, okay? But I am looking at the $61.15 billion support for altcoins, and I do believe if altcoins can hold this, then this might actually be a good time to start accumulating. Not financial advice. I'm not telling you which altcoins to start accumulating, but I do know there are a few of them I've had my eyes on. and they are starting to curve the other way, okay? So once we have more of confirmation that these coins look like they really want to move and we're not just guessing, well, then we can start talking more altcoins on the channel. So while we're on the topic of altcoins, I have a few things to mention, and then let's get on out of here because I know you guys got places to be. Well, number one, Binance US has added BUSD and IOTA, which unfortunately I still cannot use as a US citizen in New York. But for those of you that, are fans of IOTA, well, that is good. It's going to make it a lot easier to trade in the US. Also, I do want to just give a shout out to Ripple XRP. Now, whether or not you guys, believe in this or you think it's too centralized or whatever your opinion is, that's fine. We all have our opinions, but I do think that this commercial is actually really good as far as awareness for cryptocurrency in general. You kind of can't deny that, right? So basically, you could say this is our brand new awareness campaign debuted today in 2 countries. And, if we scroll through this, it's basically all these people across the whole world, and they're all just saying like, got it, we got it, I got it. And essentially it's just saying, you could send anything in the world, using Ripple, and you'll get whatever currency you want on the other end. It was a really nice commercial. Check it out. I'm not going to play it because it's got music in it. I don't want to get hit with a copyright, right? But that is the situation. But the one thing that I did want to point out super quick, Ripple does about 1,500 transactions per second, right? I think that's what it is. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Last time I checked. But I do want to compare this to how you still have people talk about this magical 24,000 transactions per second that Visa does. Now, this is an article I pulled up months ago, and I just wanted to revisit it because, once again, I just want to stress that, yes, people say, oh, Visa can hit 24,000 transactions, but it never does that, ever. In fact, it rarely ever does above 1,700, only roughly around like the holidays and when there's a lot of, people buying stuff, right? So I just wanted to point that out, that 1,500 transactions per second is pretty much damn near good enough for like what we use out in the real world. Visa only really doing around 1,700 at most. And a lot of these other people that, tend to claim to be able to do these massive transactions per second, the majority of it is usually in these test environments where they can't actually prove it. But you are seeing a lot of other projects realizing the need for scalability. Obviously, you guys know that's why I've been a fan of Matic Network, because they essentially solve the scaling solution for Ethereum. But you are seeing other projects as well. I just wanted to point this out. You could see ADX. Now, you guys might be familiar with them from a while ago. There was that confusion whether or not they were actually a Neo ICO. I don't know if you guys remember that. But anyway, you could see that now they are showing that they can do 7,500 transactions per second, and this is not even in a closed environment. They're actually able to do this for real. They process payments for every ad impression generated through the ADX network, and all this information is on the blockchain, which clearly makes it a lot more reliable. You're seeing a lot of actually ads, Brave browser, we were talking about, Veracity digital player, right? How you can actually get money for watching videos. So over here, they're basically saying that they've generated over 11 million transactions in just 2 months during 108 campaigns. So 7,500 transactions per second is pretty damn impressive. And you can see that the protocol is actually able to provide a second layer of verification. Now, they are using what they call a payment channel. But that being said, I just wanted to point out that you're seeing these projects grow, and you are seeing a lot of these solutions being solved. So I just want to say, congratulations to anyone out there. Now, of course, you guys know it wouldn't be a crypto video without an announcement of an announcement. So, okay, this came out like a week ago. I didn't really talk about it because I was trying to see what would develop out of it. But essentially, you can see Justin Sun right here. He did make an announcement. He said, this was on October 5th, at the end of this month, he's making an announcement. So an announcement of an announcement. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because, we are getting closer to the end of the month. And there were some people that were assuming that it was a Tron partnership with Samsung, okay? Samsung has been incorporating a lot of blockchain stuff into their phones recently. So I do wonder if this is just speculation or whatnot. Let me guys know what you think. Do you actually think Tron is going to partner with Samsung? I mean, you can see down here that they essentially did partner with the State Key Laboratory of Networking and Switching, which is part of Beijing University of Post and Telecommunications, but does this necessarily mean that they will be partnering with Samsung? Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below, but I do want to end on one bit of good news today, and this is from web browser Opera. They now allow you to make payments with Bitcoin directly inside the browser. So how freaking cool is that? I know, once again, maybe this isn't Satoshi's vision, okay, but it will help to harness that mass adoption to get those, next people into the space that are, like I said, used to screwing up their password and calling up their bank and, getting it basically given back to them. So Opera's 350 million users can now send and receive Bitcoin directly from the browser, as well as use the cryptocurrency for purchasing goods and services on e-commerce websites. Additionally, the browser now enables adding a Bitcoin and Tron wallet, surprisingly, that's interesting, into the built-in crypto wallet to keep track of the cryptocurrency owned. So wow, now that we're actually having a story about Tron potentially on Opera and the Samsung thing, I don't know, guys. Interesting. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Is it time for altcoins to shine? Should we ditch our Bitcoin? Should we just start buying all the altcoins? Well, Bitcoin's just still going sideways right now, so we will keep an eye on it, guys. I actually have, like I told you guys, I've been kind of scaling a little bit into Ethereum, just kind of, as the next big coin. They are looking for the potential futures of it, possibly getting launched. So yeah, take your risks on that. I have a couple little smaller positions I'm in right now. Nothing too major, but like I said, guys, when I make a major portfolio change and I start going hardcore into the altcoins again, you will always be the first to know.